I mean, I look at most of them right before we get on air. So
Okay. I just want to make sure.
no, you sent them over. I saw that you did. I'm actually just looking at them right now, and
Okay.
they fall within my sweet spot, so we're good.
Yay. 1 second here, sir. All right. Now, come on.
Man, we even like on Facebook, we got a countdown, like it's counting down 36, 35. It's pretty like it's not like we're not that high class, are we?
We are very high class. What are you talking about, man? Oh,
Your standards are pretty dang on low. That's
I tell you. Now, where'd it go? 1 sec. Damn it. I got you. Go through this every time.
Are we doing anything different today?
No. Nope.
I'm saying with Facebook Live or like with YouTube. Are we doing anything different with that or no?
No, I haven't heard from Rebecca on that. I guess she's working on it. I'm not sure what she's going to do in that case, but we can definitely tell people we're planning on doing that. That'd be cool. Oh man, Coach, we are at 6 o'clock. I'm sitting there gabbing away. We are live, baby. Oh man, I'll tell you. All right.
You'd be lucky that some people jump online.
Yeah. Do you see anybody out there in TV land? 1 second here.
People are not interested in this.
Oh, don't
we
say
got
that.
one live, so I mean, hey, we'll start with that.
We're gabbing away. We'll just gab. 1 second here. I know this is.
People will probably see me looking in a bunch of different directions. I have a new screen set up, and I'm working.
Oh, cool! Get everything worked out with your email and everything.
We're getting closer, but I'm working off of 3 computer monitors, which is making me more efficient. But it makes my eyes. It looks like I'm always like.
That's all right. That's all right.
Multitasking. We got PJ in the house. He gave us a wave. Back, PJ.
Hi, PJ. How are you? Oh my goodness. Let's see here.
Hopefully Mitch has got things working properly because
we do. We are live. We are working properly, Coach. We got PJ. Well, why don't we go ahead and get started since we are live and we are recording.
Works for me.
The good guy is here. I saw Mr. PJ this morning at the pool, by the way. That guy is fast. He swims. He's a good swimmer, man. I'll tell you. Let's see. All right. Well, it is 6:02. Sorry, folks, we're a little bit behind here as I work through my technology. Thank you all very much for tuning in. This is Coach's Corner live on Facebook with Mr. Aaron Geiser, Coach Aaron Geiser, coming to you from Northern Kentucky. And I'm Mitch Baker. I'm your host. I am coming to you live from the great city of Blue Ash, Ohio. Coach, I'm going to tell you, we have got a ton of stuff going on, Coach, training wise. And I just want to briefly kind of go over some things, catch people up a little bit. We got a lot of great events have been posted. I want to make sure everybody is aware that not only do we have Maria's track Thursday at the ungodly hour of 5:30 a.m., but Don Yeoman is putting on a track event in the evening. Check it out. It is open. It is not an official CTC event, but obviously all CTC members are invited. So Don is doing it at Withrow Track starting at 6:15 p.m. So join Don Yeoman and his gang of merry runners if you feel like it. That is really a cool thing going on. And then I don't know what to say about this Swim to Loveland thing, Coach. If you check that out with Justin Roush, that's going to start on March 1st. Check out the event. This is a one where by the end of March, whoever's got the most yardage in is up for some grand prizes. There's a swim to Loveland, to Madeira, to Mariemont. Really a cool event. It's all done virtually. Just swim your heart out and report to Mr. Roush, and we'll go from there. And you know,
I do
Coach,
have a question. Why did he not include any Kentucky locations and Indiana locations for our tri-state folks?
What do you mean, Coach? I mean, you just swim and report, right?
Yeah, but I'm just saying we don't want to swim to Ohio.
Well, why not? What's wrong? What? Nobody. What? I could say something about nobody swims in Kentucky, but I know better than that. But all right. That's some good feedback from Mr. Roush for next year. I like that. Okay. But he thought, it's a pretty long way to go to from wherever we start, Purple People Ridge or whatever. But anyway, sign up for that, folks. It's a great thing to do in March to keep you on track for your training. It's gonna kick some people. All right. Don't forget, Tuesday evening, this coming Tuesday, we have the CTC. This is the first year we're doing it. We are asking you to tell us what races that you are doing in 2023, as far as triathlons and duathlons. Okay, so we got a Zoom call set up for that for Tuesday to go over that and explain it. There'll be a link to a Google form where you tell us what races you registered for and the purpose and reason behind we're doing all that. So we know who's going to what races and so forth, and we can provide support. So looking for that. Coach, we got so many daggone clinics going on. It's crazy. We got the swim clinic that's going on. That's full. Ann Gardner, Ashley Yanza. Thank you both very much. We got that rolling out in March 5th. We got the bike flat clinic and maintenance clinic, which I am heartened to say that we've had 13 people sign up and register for that clinic. That means we got 12 openings left for that clinic, folks. So hurry up and sign up. If you want to learn how to change out a flat, do some basic bike maintenance, it is at the Blue Ash Rec Center. And information is out there on the events. Sarah Mingus and Nathan Martin and oh my gosh, Shane Paxton, Dan Catalano. We got some really good people working with you on that particular clinic. 2 dates to put on the pencil in, folks. Pencil these dates in, and we will be getting details to you. We have, for the first time, we are offering, thanks to Aaron, the Race Prep Clinic. This will be a Zoom call with a panel of experts, including Mr. Aaron Geiser here, who to talk about what you do in preparation for the race. I believe, Aaron, it's the week before. Am I correct? Is that the time range you're looking at?
I think that's what we had discussed, yes.
All right. That is on May 10th, folks, and that will be a call in the evening. More details will be pushed out with the event. So pencil that date in for the Race Prep Clinic being offered by Aaron. The next clinic that I believe is going to be very popular is going to be on May 17th. We will have the Triathlon Transition Clinic. That's May 17th. And that is going to be at the Voice of America Park. Okay. It is a joint clinic with our good friends at Mojo. So again, look for the event with all the details on those particular clinics. The run clinic is going to be rescheduled. We're sorry that we had to postpone it, but we are looking for the another date with Jackie and Drew. So we'll get that posted out there again. And thank you for your patience on that. But that's a really good clinic. I don't run, and I went to that clinic and I thought, wow, if I could do this, I could run again. But anyway, looking forward to getting that date republished out there. So, Coach, is there anything else that I need to cover here? I think what am I missing besides a brain?
Our goal is to continue to make this club a more community-driven group. So what we're trying to do, we're listening to what members want. We are also trying to put together things that we think members maybe aren't thinking about. I thought the transition or the race planning was a good thought, just for things that come on that maybe we don't think of the week of. We're like, oh crap, I wish I would have had some exposure or some conversation. So what we're trying to do is just provide a wealth of knowledge, and we're bringing people in, like our panel of experts, our group of transition clinic, our clinic. We're bringing in experts within these areas to try to provide our members the best overall experience. So take advantage of it. I mean, it's out there to help you guys, especially if you've been in the sport for a long time. If you've been in the sport new, you've never done a triathlon, these are all going to be experiences that are going to be great for you to take advantage and pick the brains of individuals that have done this for a while and done it at a high level and at a starting level, just to allow you to not have to live through some of those life lessons that we've all had to go through and learn from. So take advantage of the knowledge that's out there, that's within this club. We're trying to present it and be more face front in this, so therefore we can help new members and members that have been with us for a long period of time. So hopefully you guys see that and welcome that and take advantage of it.
Definitely. And make sure you register in advance for these clinics. They registrations will be, links will be available. I'm very excited about the race prep clinic. I think that's really, the panel of experts come from our membership. And there's yourself, Aaron, obviously, there's Bruce and Robin Williams are going to be on the panel, PJ Arling, Maria Krechek. I mean, if you know these folks, they're bringing a lot of their really great expertise to this event. And Perry Hawk from Mojo will also be on the panel. So again, that's going to be a joint venture with our good friends at Mojo. So great. Yeah, can't disagree at all with that, Coach. We're really trying to meet the needs of what our members are asking for. So hopefully this will start filling that up. Last pitch, I'm going to make it, and a shout out to Rebecca Klingenberg. She is publishing a fantastic newsletter. Folks, if you're not getting that newsletter, check your spam. I'm telling you, it's a great place to go to see what the heck is going on. Okay. If you're not Facebook friendly or whatever, check out that newsletter. Kudos to you, Rebecca, for putting that together and pushing that out. That was a big ask of our club. In the survey, people asked for more communication, different types of communication, and she is filling that need with that newsletter. So shout out to her for that. Good stuff. All right, Coach, let's launch into some questions, and you're going to keep an eye on the Facebook, I imagine, to let me know if there's other questions being posted. But where would you like to start first? Would you like to go with a question about coaches, or would you like to talk about what Jackie had posted regarding the glucose monitoring?
Choice, man. This is you moderate this thing.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's go. Jackie Wearshowall asks a good question. I've never heard of this before, but what are your thoughts on continuous glucose monitors? Can't say I've ever seen that in a race, but if they're out there, they're out there.
Where have you been?
In a cave, man, in a cave. You know that.
And Jackie, you pick a week where I'm actually not wearing one, but I work with Super Sapiens, so I'm a big fan of continuous blood glucose monitors. It's what it is for those that are not familiar with CGMs. It's pretty much you put it in kind of the upper tricep area, and what it does is give you blood glucose readings. So it's going to give you your real-time number of milliliters per deciliter, or milligrams per deciliter, I'm sorry. And what this is a way for you to track how you're utilizing and how stable your blood glucose is. Now, this is something that initially hit the market for diabetics, but in recent years, it has been expanded upon You will hear me refer to Super Sapiens, which currently is still not released in the United States. They have done a couple of sponsorships with some Ironman events. They did back off of a couple of those because they were having issues with getting approved by the FDA. But there are a number of different CGMs out on the market that individuals can get their hands on. The one thing that I will say with some of those products is that the stick that they use with the Libra is not, with the Abbott Libra, is the actual like electronic piece that is stuck into your arm.
Oh.
That is the over the counter, or if you want to call them that, they're not over the counter. You still have to get some form of a prescription. But if you're going to get them, the ones that are approved in the United States, the one issue that I found with them is the stick is not very good. So if you do a bulk amount of swimming, they are not going to stick. It's just the breakdown with the chlorine. The one thing I will say with the Super Sapiens unit, they have worked with that same group, Abbott, to produce a much more efficient stick and barrier that kind of sticks throughout that 14-day window. So when you stick them in your arm, you get a 14-day window to be able to read your blood glucose. So Jackie, the piece that I am going to emphasize on this and why it can be important is if you look at the data, it's going to provide you with a lot of information. If you don't look at the data, it's not worth your money. It's not worth your time. I have talked to a lot of athletes, because especially the athletes that I work with internationally, they have been able to get their hands on Super Sapiens. And luckily with my work with Super Sapiens, I've been able to get educated on all of the intricacies of kind of how we want to utilize it. And each athlete is going to have a little bit of a different response based on their nutrition intake. So like where a carb dependent athlete might see their blood glucose range be 120 to 140 milligrams per deciliter, mine or a low carbohydrate athlete might find theirs to be 80 to 100. So when I utilize mine, what I want to see is based on the particular type of work, I want to see stability in my blood glucose. When you start to see big rushes, one, you are really releasing a great deal of insulin. And when you release insulin, you are going to block what is called the GLUT4 within the pancreas, which allows, when it's open, it allows lipids to move through into the bloodstream to be utilized as energy sources. This is why one of the things I push hard is increasing your fat oxidation, but it does depend on what you put in your system, because when you dump in sugar, when you dump in high fructose, what you end up doing is creating this large spike of blood glucose. Insulin is released into the body. The GLUT4 actually closes up to allow that insulin to move through the blood to decrease your actual blood glucose numbers. The problem with that is you start to utilize a great deal of endogenous and exogenous carbohydrates. So what you're taking in and what is stored in your body becomes the primary and predominant use of fuel, because your body is shut down its availability to lipids or fats. So I could go into a whole lot of detail and probably lose a lot of different people. But I will say that I do find it very, very important. And the more you learn and the more, like if you stick that unit in your arm and for the first 2 or 3 units, so we're talking about like 28 to 30 or 28 to 42 days of just tracking and seeing how your body responds to when you're doing certain workouts, whether it be high intensity, whether it be swim workouts, whether it be strength workouts, seeing how the body reacts. And then also you want to do tests by implementing different types of foods and also seeing how your blood glucose changes through the introduction of a lot of those nutrients. you are going to start to see how your body responds, how it's sensitive. And then what you can start to do is then start to go into workouts. You want to keep things stable as possible, and you can start to implement different nutrition in to maintain that stability and prevent some of these spikes. This is where a lot of people have misconceptions. They think that they need to see these spikes. The spikes are not good, but I do find them very, very useful. And I will welcome, Jackie, if you do have some additional, if you choose to go this route and you have some additional questions, I would be more than happy to have the conversation. It can be complex, but it is something that can open a door for how you nourish and how you maintain stable and static energy through the course of training, through the course of events, and just through the normal like day-to-day life.
So Aaron, I think you've answered my question. That was my question was, is this a training tool, a race tool, or both?
It's everything. I mean,
Okay.
to be honest.
So if I'm in a race and I have this, I'm very sorry. I'm very ignorant on this, but is it something you could use in a race? I'm sorry.
You could, but the issue with it is right now, most of these units that have been approved within the United States, you have to have them paired with a phone. So you can have a phone on an Ironman course. So there you can't use it. Now, this is the band that Super Sapiens has put out, which connects directly with their particular unit. So if they come into the United States and you can pair it up with that band, you can actually see your live information in the moment of the race. A lot of the times right now, if you do not have one of those bands or you use another one of these units, what you might be able to do, you're not going to be able to get information within that event in a lot of cases, but you can get some valuable information post-event. So you can see where, like, man, I felt mile 20 on the bike, things got really, really hard. You look, oh crap, I had a super huge spike and then I had this huge drop as a response. So you can start to see responses post that you can then plan into next race strategies. But in the question that you presented, Mitch, these originally came out for diabetics. They're designed for every moment use. So once you stick that into your arm, the 14 days is all just kind of to give you information. So it's valuable time. So yes, you can use it in training. Yes, you can use it within a competition, but most importantly, you can also utilize it to see it through the course of the day. So just when you can notice that when you get stressed, your blood glucose level goes up. So you can then start to put in a practice of how to prevent maybe having that spike in blood glucose to then try to stable it out. You can also see how you maybe are super sensitive to certain fruits, where if you eat, so a green banana has a little bit more fiber to it than a brown, like a dark warm banana. You take in one of those warm bananas, you're going to notice, because they're predominantly sugar at that point, you're going to see a super influx in your blood glucose. When if you take a banana that is green, it is a very high resistive starch. You're not going to see much of a insulin or a blood glucose spike in that particular sense. So you can start to then pair this information with different foods to make you a more informed consumer at that point as well. So it has the ability to really hold you accountable, and also give you some information on maybe foods that you might be sensitive to that maybe I'm not sensitive to, and vice versa.
So word of the wise to Mike Hoblich: quick eating the Mike and Ike's right before a race, right? Because he's gonna spike up.
And then I know he was
just kidding.
the Epic one year, and he looked at me and I don't think he knew it was me at first. And he had this big box of candy, and he's like, "You want some?" And before he could even like finish this, he stopped because he's like, he's not gonna
Well,
want these.
okay, just in general, this is very interesting. What do you say, what's the cost of something like this kit, this monitoring, if you're able to provide something like, I'm just curious.
So he said it was Mike and Ike's. And then Jackie also did ask a follow-up question that we'll touch on, but
Oh, thank you.
it's hard to say because if you for now to get it in the States, you have to get a prescription. You have to
Okay.
get your doctor. And in that case, if you have prescription benefits within your medical coverage,
Okay.
then you're going to get more
Mhm.
taken off of this. I mean, luckily I have those things sent to me, so I'm not,
Okay.
but
But the Sapien is that designed for for an athlete?
Super Sapiens is
Super.
designed for athletes. There are
Okay.
other ones out there, like there's one called Level, I think, that is for athletes. The problem that I've run with that is it does not stick onto athletes' arms that swim, which
Okay.
for triathletes, that is a particular problem.
Mhm.
A lot of their marketing information comes from like the weightlifting and like really a lot of it's weightlifting. They do some running, but it's not something where you're profusely sweating in a lot of cases. So there are some of these out there that you can get without a prescription. I've just found the data to not be, I mean, you're going to pay a decent amount for the unit itself. It's going to fall out. So you're not really getting a whole lot of data from that. Jackie, the way that you would get a prescription is most likely through your primary care physician. You might just have to sweet talk them or talk to them from that aspect. There, as I said, there are some ones that you could go out there and pay for, but I have not found the reliability of them sticking in your arm to be as efficient as the prescriptions.
Okay, that's good.
Nathan Mertz says the app is free. So I'm assuming you're talking the Super Sapiens, which it is.
Okay. Nathan Mertz is on the call. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he made a point earlier to mention that he was here, and I said late as always.
Oh. Well, all I gotta say is he threw me under the bus with that bike video that he shared out. I'm like, dang, that guy was pretty good. All right, Mertz, I hear you. All right, very good. But I like what you're saying about it's not just a training tool or, but you can look at it from a life perspective, right?
I love
And
things
I
that
think
make you accountable, and this is
yeah.
this is something that makes you accountable. So if you're, I mean, anytime that you kind of have that accountability like associated with something, when you reach for that Pop-Tart, you're more likely to put it back down. So these type of things I do like because they're gonna make you make some smarter decisions,
Right.
which I always find to be if you struggle with some willpower, sometimes implementing something that makes you accountable and improves that willpower, I find those to be very, very resourceful tools, excuse me. So I think that it could be a very, very helpful piece for a lot of individuals.
Well, I it's interesting you mention that because I feel, and I know you're going to laugh at me, but I feel like Strava is something like that. I feel very well. Your training peaks. I mean, when it's laid out in a plan for me like that, it's like, okay, it's accountability time, right? And I put aside Strava, but just the fact that
I get it.
you know that notion of, okay, I accomplished something, it's posted. I know it may seem kind of egotistical or something, but there's a feeling of, okay, of accomplishment versus blowing it off. And I feel the same way with like Training Peaks and some of these other training tools that we use, Garmin, what have you,
And whatever it takes you to get out the door,
There you go.
I'm always happy with that. And
Yeah.
you know, on here we do give Strava a hard time, and I think it's more because
Yeah.
the
That's okay.
platform, and I'm not, but the platform that I'm on, I have a lot of people that it feels like it's kind of more of a stalking aspect, and it's just
Yeah.
that to me, like, don't worry about what I'm doing. Trust me, I'm out here working
Yeah.
every day like a freaking beast.
Oh man. All right. Any other questions out there, Coach, on this? Good one, Jackie. Thank you very much for posting the question. That was great.
And we hit her follow up. So
Mhm.
yeah, it looks like
Okay.
as of the moment, we are caught up
Okay.
on anything that was asked.
All right. Very good. Yeah. Well, as long as we got Mertz on the call, we're good.
Hoblet says he's watching me, or he's watching you. One of the two. He didn't specify.
Oh man. Oh,
It's
okay.
one of the two of us. So
Hey, yeah, it's I haven't posted anything about his sticky note workouts, but dang, folks, if you want to get your butt kicked, come and join us Thursday at 8 o'clock at the Blue Ash Fly. All right. Here we go, Coach. This is a good one for this time of year because, as you probably know, in fact, I know we have, as of I believe it was Monday, we had 27 new members, new people join CTC, and I think it's still growing. 27 new members and so forth. And of those members, some of them, are new to the sport. Not all of them, but some may be new to the sport. And one of the questions that I get asked, and I promptly say I don't know the answer, is the question that came up is, I'm new to triathlon racing. I'm looking for a tri coach. What are some of the things a newbie should consider when checking out a tri coach? What are some questions an athlete should ask a prospective coach? What are some of the questions the coach probably will ask the athlete? And are there any sites or resources one can check to find a coach?
okay,
Go right
I
ahead.
I might miss these, so I want you to hold me accountable for the one. So I'm gonna try to hit these in the order, but that was a lot
Yeah,
to process at one
that
time.
is. I can repeat any question you want, Coach, but
So the
this
first
is a good one.
one is question or what to look for. One, the most important thing that I am going to recommend is the connection. If you don't have a connection with that individual, it's not going to be a good prosperous relationship. You want to have somebody that you feel comfortable with talking to. You want to have somebody that also has your best interest in heart. You don't want to get somebody that's just going to be out there to give you a plan, especially if you're new. You're going to need some guidance. So somebody that you feel comfortable with asking questions to is going to be a very, very important piece. Sometimes that new triathlete is going to get more from asking questions to their coach than they probably are from a good training plan. A good training plan is going to help, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But if that coach can provide you with directioning, can provide you with kind of, when I say cut some corners, I don't mean cut corners in the traditional sense, but cut corners to success. So shave off some of the nonsense to get you from point A to point B in as straight of a line as you possibly can go. I find that that's going to be a very, very important relationship that's going to be there. So that's the first thing. The next, you want to make sure that you want to be honest with the coach. I always tell athletes that they need to interview their coach, because if their coach comes across in that interview as too big for their britches, or is not answering some of the questions, or is not focusing on the questions or the points that you're making, those might be underlying things, that red flags that are yelling out to you not to go with that individual. I feel like, I mean, when
Can you think?
when you go out on a date, you are trying to get to know the other person on the other side of the table. This is the same way. Is this a person that I might be able to live with and communicate as much as I communicate too with my kids, with my significant other, these are very, very important attributes for a coach and the relationship that you want with your coach. So those would be areas that I would start. You had a question, so I want to kind of.
No, I like that. I like what you're saying about connection and interviewing the coach, right? Just off the top of your head, could you think what pointed questions would you ask a prospective coach? If you're the athlete, what would be some prospective questions you would do in that interview?
What is your communication style? How do you provide a training plan? What are you analyzing and what are you looking at within that training plan? How do you present improvements? Like, how do you go through testing? How is my output measured would be questions. And another one would be, what's your philosophy? Like, what do you believe in? Are you this type of coach that's the old school? Do you kind of stay up on top of research? Or you like, I make it very known I'm science-based. There's other coaches out there that go different routes. So kind of find somebody that's going to meet what you find interesting. I mean, a lot of the times I get individuals because they find the science part of it interesting, and then they start to see, okay, well, here's the other things that come along with it. But if you find that style, run with it. The one coach that I would avoid is the one that's going to tell you to go hard all the time, because that's going to break your body down. Yep. You're not going to enjoy the process. You might have days that you enjoy, but a lot of the times you're going to have some issues. Nathan Mertz says, as a coach, someone who holds you accountable to reach your goals. And that's if you don't know.
What do you think would be what type of communication do you think is the best for somebody who's relatively new in the sport? Is it phone calls? Is it meeting in person, texting? What have you found works best with the newer athlete? Or
that really is based on the coach and I mean, I guess I look across what I have individuals that I am texting every day. I have other ones that like emails, but I'll do an email text combo. There's others that like a Zoom meeting once a month. There's ones that like Zoom meetings every quarter. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways, and understand I am global, so there's certain ways I'm not going to be able to go and have a cup of tea with somebody if I chose to in a lot of cases. So it's really, if getting face to face, that is another thing that I should have. If getting face to face with your coach is important, then you want to find somebody that's local to you that has that freedom to sit down with you maybe ever so frequently. But typically the flow of an athlete, when they come in, the communication, they are overwhelmed with newness. So they're going to be asking a lot of questions the first month. I recognize that and welcome that, but I understand when I get a new athlete, I'm going to get bombarded for the first 20 to 45 days, because there's things that either their old coach, it's different than their old coach. One, if they've never had a coach, it's completely new to them. So this is a foreign language to them. So they're learning. I mean, the earlier we get into a language, we're going to ask a lot of questions. What does this mean? What does that mean? It's just like when 2 years ago, I guess, when I came on board and I had all these L1, L5, L3A, L3B. People are like, what the hell are you talking about?
So that was Nathan Mertz. Anyway,
But I mean, that really is, so in that learning phase, you have to expect that you're gonna have a lot of conversations and a lot of exposure with that individual the first month.
mhm.
Um,
What
it's
about, I'm sorry. What
no, go
about
ahead.
what are some things? Okay, I get the connection, the communication. Are there certain things you should look for, like certifications or qualifications in a coach? I'm just curious from where
I
you sit.
find that to be more, that might be more driven by the athlete themselves. And if you, I would
I
say
mean,
that,
are there certain, I mean, should you be as a coach? I know you have a lot of credentials next to your name. Is there something fundamental that every good triathlon coach should have? Should they be qualified or level one? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to.
no, you're good. And I don't want to discount, because there are good coaches that have not had to go down that line
Okay,
of getting a certification. So
okay.
you technically, to be considered a coach,
Hmm.
you don't need to hold any particular certifications. Now,
Mm,
I am certified through a couple of different organizations, but the one that I'm going to pull, because we are connected with the USA Triathlon Organization.
okay.
I am a level one coach, moving to a level two.
Hmm.
Um, there has been certain education and testing of that education that I've had to go through to be certified through that particular organization. There's also continued education. There are, like, I have to be continuously safe sports certified. I have to be CPR certified and AED certified. So there's a lot of things that I need to go across that boundary.
Hmm.
If that is important to you, 100%, you should look for a coach that is certified. Now, the last question that you asked on that list that you put, how do you find one?
Hmm.
I tend to recommend going through USA Try, because one, there's a database of other certified coaches through there. And there you're just going to be able to find somebody that does have, they've gone through a certain competency test that they will at least keep you safe. They have, like, through that relationship, I also have additional insurance through them. So there's other things that, and because I meet those expectations, I'm able to get some of those additional perks from them that give me additional credibility, like having that additional injury insurance. Things like that might be important, especially to a newbie, just because you're getting into the sport.
Right.
Something might come up. It might be from, I mean, hopefully it's not from the coach, but if it is, then you have some
Right.
type of at least liability.
Right. So USAT has a database of coaches
And it
that
has,
some.
it's on, like, when you sign in, it has find a coach. So
Right.
it's that simple.
Okay.
You just need to be a member of USAT to be
Right.
able to access the list of find a coach.
Cool. Let me see. I think
Hopefully
now.
I answered those
Yeah,
questions.
you are. This where to find a coach, questions an athlete should ask a prospective coach, things to look for. But as a coach, when an athlete approaches you for the first time, I'm just curious, what are some of the things that you ask of that athlete? What do you do to vet them? Because I'm sure you don't accept everybody that approaches you. I'm just curious. I mean, are there
So,
certain
well,
things?
and I am at the point where I'm pretty
And I
loaded
know.
up. So if I take on somebody, it's kind of at that point where they've gone through a pretty in-depth interview process at this point.
Oh, okay. So you
Um,
do an interview yourself. You
yes,
do.
because
Yeah.
I want to make sure, at least on my end, things that are important to me is that I am getting an athlete that's going to be compliant. I put a lot
Okay.
of time and invest a lot of energy into designing a plan that is going to be best for you. And if an individual is only going to hit two workouts out of the week, one, that forces me to go in, so I'm protecting them, go in and adjust the following weeks, because I take a very progressive approach. If you haven't done those workouts, I can't go in and expect you to not hit your 30-minute run and then have a 35-minute run the following week, because the chances of injury go up. So
Okay, good
I
point.
like, and this is a compliance, are and holding the athlete accountable for that compliance. That's important to me. It's very important for me to connect with the athlete, because I am a personal person. I like to connect with individuals, and it's I look at across the board the athletes that I have the best connection with, the better their results are as well. So that looks better for both of us. So I'm getting those athletes to another level. And I'm also doing that because I know them. I understand they're communicating with me. If I put a workout on their schedule, they're not afraid to tell me, "You're a freaking psychopath." I'm more than happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Because then I can know, well, look, you call me that, but you hit every single point in this particular workout. At this point, I understand how to communicate with my group. So some people I'm much harder on than others. So it's you kind of want to connect with the person that's on the other side. And it's the same thing that I kind of talked about, where what I would ask an athlete to ask a coach, a lot of that's what I'm asking as well, because I want to see the same things.
Right.
I want to see how, like, if you're just looking to fill a spot on my roster, that's not often the right fit, because that's going to make both of us, you're going to pay a cost, you're not going to follow, and you're going to continue to have me breathing down your neck for not doing your workouts. So it's a two-way street. And
and that gets back to that connection you were talking about, knowing, but and I think that's a good point, like you said. I mean, if you need somebody local because you got to face someone, that makes, though I find it interesting that you're worldwide, right? You have athletes all over the world. I'm sure you Zoom with them and so forth.
I mean, it's a constant, like, I joked when we set up the WhatsApp account for the training squad group, because I only had WhatsApp to communicate with my foreign athletes, because that's the only way I am them in a normal, like, FaceTime chat or whatever, just because they're not in the US and it costs both of us money. We can't do that. They have these, foreign numbers. I have to utilize FaceTime WhatsApp for those. So it's unique, but I mean, understand we actually are supposed to have an article in the New York Times based on Dan and Chelsea's relationship and how that works from New Zealand to US, that I'll hopefully be able to post that in the group, just because the way that we kind of approach it from that distance between, we try to make it as, connected as possible. So if having a coach not local to you is not a big deal, you really can go get the best of the best anywhere in the world.
Yeah, that's great. Well, are there any questions and follow-up on Facebook there, Coach? I'm sorry, this has been very good, very informative.
Nathan Mertz asked, what free coaching services do CTC provide? And I think right now the only one that we can provide or talk about is the 12-week pre-designed plans for, I look at it more for hours, not necessarily particular events. We got the 6 to 8, 8 to 10, and 11 to 13 hour training plans. So there's 3 plans out there that are all 12 weeks in duration and kind of take you through the 3 training plans to get you prepared for events. So
Yep.
Nathan, if that was kind of a teed up question, or if you were being serious, there you go.
Yep. That 12-week plan, will be promoting that. I think now that we got pretty much most of our membership. But in fairness, Coach, we've had a lot of new names sign up for that already.
Yes, we have.
So it's really good. Sarah Mingus is doing a good job promoting that.
Heck
But
of a
that
job.
12-week, it's and training, it's via Training Peaks. You work with the individual, and it's of it. Training Peaks is free unless they choose to get the premium. But no, that's a really great benefit of the club in offering that. So, Coach, I just don't. I guess my question is, how in the heck do you connect with Nathan Mertz? That guy, you can't connect with him. I mean, come on, Nathan. Just kidding. All right, Mertz, I'm giving you enough grief. All right.
I'm staying away from that one with the team.
Oh, I know. That guy is crazy. All right, Coach,
We
think
ended up having a late question
go
from
right ahead.
our usual.
It's and training. It's via Training Peaks. You work with the individual, and
Oh no! Sorry, I'm trying to look this up because Cam sent in a question about strength training, but I can't find it. So I'm gonna freeway. She asked, the question was about strength training and do higher repetitions with lower weight, or do lower repetitions with higher weight, or does it not matter? I'm paraphrasing what she wrote out there, but that's kind of the gist of it. As endurance athletes, I am going to make the recommendation of higher weights, lower repetitions, because it goes against kind of what we do. So most of what we do is very repetitive. What we do is typically in what we call the sagittal plane, which is forward. So I often recommend a lot of things in the frontal plane, which means sideways. So we want to do like side lunges and things just to kind of work the hips and other areas that way as well.
Oh, you and Hoblet have been talking. That's obvious. But keep going.
We have not. It's just smart, like brilliant minds kind of flock towards the same ideas, right?
There you go.
So really, in this particular case, you're getting so much exposure as an endurance athlete. And I'm going to speak to this because we're on the triathlon club. Whether you do sprint distance, whether you do full distance or ultra, you do very, very long repetitive movements for long periods of time. It's good to kind of counter that with higher weight, lower repetitions, just because it is going to call in different muscle fibers than what you are consistently calling from on your normal training activity. And I say that with all sincerity. I say that with all like conviction, because it really, it's kind of doing something different than what you are accustomed to doing on a regular basis. If you're in a sport where you're doing short bursts, you're doing a lot of plyometric movements, you're doing a lot of cutting. Now, this is something maybe where you could get some benefit from endurance. Now, football typically has to kind of combine both of those because they do short bursts, but they need to be short and powerful in a lot of ways. So they can get some benefit from sharpening both sides of that sword by doing endurance strength work along with power strength work. But in our triathlon community, we are going to be a heck of a lot more beneficial spending time on high weight, low repetitions, because that is just counter to what we normally do.
Okay, cool. That's a very good question, because I know this time of year a lot of people are still, prep season, weightlifting, doing. Yes. I see a lot of it. It's great.
Cam had the follow-up question that I missed on the earlier question, which she did a great job of filling that in. She said the last part was, when do you know to increase the weight? When you hit those low repetitions and don't struggle. So like if you, let's say that you go in with the intention to do 6 and you're not feeling that struggle on 5 and 6, which heavyweight we want to have struggle on 4, 5, and 6. If 4, 5, and 6 start to get like easier or progressively easier, that's when it's time to increase weight and move it up. But again, and Michael will share this with me, we want to keep form integrity no matter how much weight we put on. Form integrity is extremely important.
Oh, I will vouch for that. He's always yelling at me about my form or lack thereof. Right, Hobbs? Good. I like that. Coach, we're running up on the clock here, but I just wanted to ask, and I know this came up on prior call, but given the season that we're in right now, I noticed you have that your Saturday ride, 3 to 4 hours and so forth. And on my training plan, 3.5 hours. Question: what is again the benefit of those long Zwift rides? Just in zone 2. I know. I'm just asking because
So much.
Yeah. Just in a snapshot for us, if you could, or what have you.
All right. To simplify our physiology, we have capillaries that extend blood into other, like our muscles and other areas. One, we create more responsive capillary response in that case. 2, we have these little power cells called mitochondria, and typically on my Saturday rides, it's a joke of how quickly in the ride I use that terminology, but mitochondria are really some of the most important microscopic pieces of our body. They are in charge of creating nutrients into energy by taking it through the Krebs cycle. I'm not going to go through that detail, but what they do is they take the energy, the nutrients that we have in our body from the food that we consume, and they take it through a cycle to create energy. As what the currency for energy is called ATP, or adenosine triphosphate. Those mitochondria are product of turning that into energy. So that cycle of energy starts with the mitochondria. These zone 2 rides and zone 2 activities are helping create more of that mitochondria. So often triathletes think by going hard, they are creating more benefits, which is completely incorrect. By going slow and easy, a lot of the time, what we are going to do is we are going to create a robust amount of mitochondria, or as we call it, mitochondrial density. What that ends up doing is allowing you to then turn over nutrition into energy at the more that you have of these energy cells, the more energy that you're going to be able to have to produce. Now, then we throw in some of the harder efforts to sharpen the kind of ability of those mitochondria to send things through that Krebs cycle that I talked about. But those higher efforts make the mitochondria bioefficiency more efficient by having to create energy in a quick manner. But the slow, long zone 2 rides or runs are valuable from the standpoint of building that density within those cells. So therefore, the more powerhouses that we have, the more energy that we can overall produce.
Okay.
So,
I'm very sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, so is 3 to 4 hours, is that zone 2? I mean, can you arrive good benefit? Like Jackie has a ride on Saturday mornings for an hour. Are you going to gain some benefit from zone 2ing for an hour, or does it take 2 to 3 hours? I'm just curious.
So there is a lot of information, and I buy into there is a sports scientist out of Colorado who is the predominant coach for Tadej Pogačar. So the two-time Tour de France winner.
Mm.
He has done enough laboratory studies that kind of 60 minutes and above is that ideal timeline. Now,
Okay.
of course, 3 hours, 4 hours are going to be more beneficial because the body is also going to start to fatigue. You're going to get some additional practices and development through that timeline. But anything less than that hour or 60-minute timeline, you kind of stunt the amount of development in
Okay.
that particular case.
Okay.
So it's not that it's still not beneficial, because there still are some physiological benefits that you will get.
Mhm.
But from the development of mitochondria and some other areas, the longer rides are going to give you a lot more bang for your buck. But I always, unless I do like a recovery ride or something just to get the body loosened up,
Mhm.
unless it's a VO2 max ride or a threshold ride,
Mhm.
my zone 2 or endurance or aerobic rides are always going to fall 60 minutes or above.
Right. Good point. All right, folks, there you got it, folks. I mean, I know it seems like, I know you got those rides on Saturday. They're very popular, but
The other thing that I will say is, with that right fuel, right time approach that we continue to push, and I know, one, you don't have to be low carbohydrate, but by timing the carbohydrate consumption, you can improve your fat oxidation rate. And these rides are also epic for improving your fat oxidation. So that's another thing is, if you avoid adding sugar, if you avoid adding high amounts of carbohydrates pre-ride and in the first 2 hours of the ride, you are going to improve your fat oxidation rate. Due to you riding at a zone 2 level and a zone 2 heart rate, your body does not need carbohydrates for that length of time. Some people have been taught that their entire life, but it's not true. It's actually research-based, not true. So if you avoid adding carbohydrates, what you are going to do is you're going to force your body to start utilizing lipids and fatty acids a lot more efficiently. Therefore, you are going to improve your fat oxidation rate. No matter if you are a carb athlete or a low carb athlete, you race low, or you train low, race high, as we do. And what I mean by that is, we train in lower carbohydrate states, but we race in high carbohydrate states within the absorption rate, of course. But even in this case, the more fat that you utilize for energy reproduction, the more carbohydrates you are continuing to store through that process, and the more carbohydrates you are going to have for later in that run when you need it the most. So
Wow.
that is kind of the whole philosophy behind improving your fat oxidation rate. And those long rides are another key piece to it. But that is if you implement your nutrition at the right time and at the right type of in nutrition as well.
Okay. That's great. All right. All right, Coach. Any other questions out there? I didn't know.
I think that's everything we got.
Wow. Good stuff tonight, Coach. Thank you again very much. That's a very informative call. And don't forget, folks, check the events. Clinics are still being posted. We got openings in the flat clinic. Make sure you sign up for that. And be on the lookout for the race prep clinic and the transition clinic at Voice of America. So, Coach, I thank you very much again for your expertise. We appreciate it. We really do. And folks, next month, we'll have another Coach's Corner. And think of those questions you want to ask Aaron, because race season starts Deer Creek, I think, Coach, is what, June 3rd is usually the kickoff.
We
Whoa,
got
the pig. We got the pig.
We got Clamps Miami in less than it's just over
Oh,
a month.
okay.
So some
Oh my
people might be
gosh.
starting early.
Oh, wow. Well,
Um,
I won't speak ill of the pig, but yeah, I
Tim
do know
asked
that's my
what days are the races in May?
you got me on that one, Coach.
And
I
Tim,
only
And Jen, I didn't. I'm part of the team, so
Well, there is a race in Florida in May, but I'll go over all of that. If they call in on the tracker call, we'll go over that because there is a race in Florida, and I believe Texas. Am I not mistaken? I thought Texas was
Texas,
in
we have 2 weeks before Texas, or 3 weeks before Texas, we have Oceanside.
Oceanside.
So I mean, there's a lot of different things, but
Yeah.
yeah, I just want to say, Jen, I onboarded Sam in December, so we've been holding that one back for a while. It's it's a big get for us, and should be a heck of a lot of fun because the dude's fun. He's a big
Okay.
personality, so
Cool.
'cause she was asking about
Congratulations.
Sam Long, so I just wanted
Sam
to
Long.
throw out
Okay.
that that was definitely released to the world this past week, but we've been
Yeah.
sitting on it since December.
Ah, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again, Coach. Very nice call. Great call. Good information. And don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Check the events for upcoming things, and happy training, everyone. Thank you.
Everybody take care. Go kick some butt.
Kick some butt. Bye-bye.